I know I'm late to the party on this one. I was deep in the middle of working on my Windbreaker video, and if you haven't seen it yet, consider checking it out. If you're a fan of Windbreaker, it's an in-depth ranking of all major characters, and if you're just looking for a new anime to check out, trust me, this one's worth your time. But now that I'm back in Bowa Hero X mode, I need to talk about Queen. Episodes 11 and 12 looked like her spotlight, but they turned out to be something else entirely. A commentary on power, ego, and the systems that make or break a hero. This arc had everything: trust, fear, friendship, betrayal, and a single man with no name who snapped it all in half. What looked like Queen's big moment turned out to be something deeper, a reminder that in this world, even greatness can't outrun the system Hero X left in pieces. From the moment Queen steps into the spotlight, it's clear she's just not another hero candidate, she's the blueprint. Engineered from the ground up to win, her father, a prominent journalist, shapes her image, her mentor molds her talent, and together they create something close to perfect, a heroine who speaks with conviction, acts with purpose, and never doubts her place at the top. Queen doesn't stumble through this world like Linling, she doesn't get lucky like Cyan, she's calculated, controlled, and almost frighteningly competent. That's what makes her rise feel inevitable, and why her fall is even greater. Her goal is nothing short of rewriting the hero world. She wants to take down the commission, tear apart the trust system, replace it with something better. But here's the twist, she never actually mentions what that something is. Queen wants to destroy the trust system, but what replaces it? There's only one other power we've seen that bypasses trust and makes people listen, it's fear. And Queen never says she wants to use it, but her proximity to it is impossible to ignore. Her parental figures flirt with manipulation and authoritarian control. The system she despises was built on popularity, but the alternative may be far darker. That tension is what defines Queen. She's an idealist forged in the world of cynicism. And for all of her conviction, she still hasn't realized how close her dream sits to the nightmares we've already seen. What complicates it further is that Queen isn't a villain. She's not heartless, she forms genuine bonds with Cyan, with the Johnnies, and we see flashes of vulnerability underneath her iron will. When she loses to Hero X, her pride breaks and also her entire belief system. She lost the illusion that being exceptional was enough, and that loss is devastating. For someone who's always had the answers, Queen suddenly had none. Hero X doesn't just defeat her, he erases her. He snaps his fingers and everything she's built collapses in an instant. No explanation, no counterattack, just silence. That's when we see Queen for who she really is, a girl raised in a world that expected greatness and never told her what to do if she fell short. She was built to win, but never taught how to break free. Hey there, looks like you've been caught in Dio Stan the World. While time's frozen, don't forget to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe so you never miss any future content. Alright, time's up, back to the video. While Queen may have been the face of episode 11 and 12, the arc quietly pivots and becomes Bowa's story. Bowa isn't a child of the system, she didn't have a famous father polishing her image, or a mentor charting her path to greatness. She built everything herself, from prize fighter to top 10 hero, she climbed the ranks with pure skill and grit. And when the world gave her a chance, when Queen's popularity opened the door for her to claim the title X, Bowa didn't hesitate. She stepped in, took the #1 spot, and proved she could stand among the best. But no one saw her that way. To the public, to her own management team, even the Queen's father, Bowa was never more than a placeholder, a temporary champion keeping the throne warm until Queen was ready to take it back. That dismissal began to fester, and Bowa carried that resentment like a blade in her chest for years. When she finally gets her shot at Queen in the tournament, it became about proving to the world and to herself that she deserves the title, that she was never just standing in for someone better. And it's here we realize something even deeper. Bowa doesn't just want revenge, she wants validation. She wants to believe that her rise meant something. But buried beneath all of that is fear. Not just the raw, violent kind that powers up monsters, Bowa's fear is quieter, more human. It's the fear that maybe she's not enough. That even if she wins, she still won't matter. And in this world, that fear has power, literally. We've seen fear before in Bowa Hero X, twisted villains overtaken by regret, pain, and unresolved trauma. But Bowa is different. She controls her fear instead of being consumed by it. She channels it, refines it, and weaponizes it. Her attacks are clever, calculated, precise. She outsmarts Queen as often as she overpowers her, and even in her most desperate moments, she never loses herself completely. That's what makes her one of the most compelling characters in the series we've seen so far. She's not driven by ego or ideology. She's driven by something painfully real, the need to be seen, to be respected, to not be written off as a mistake. And that's what makes the outcome of her fight so devastating. Bowa loses because she realizes the truth. Beating Queen won't fix anything. Hero X is still out there, untouchable, unbeatable, and no matter how hard she fights, she'll never undo what happened that day, so she gives up. She understands that even a flawless victory won't rewrite the story. Hero X shattered the board, and Queen and Bowa are just fighting over the leftover pieces. In the end, Bowa isn't a villain. She's not even really a rival. She's the ghost of what could have been. A reminder that even heroes who rise on their own terms can be torn down by a system that refuses to acknowledge them. What makes Queen and Bowa's arc so compelling is what the fight reveals. By the end of episode 12, it's obvious this isn't about climbing the ranks anymore. It's not about who deserves the title, it's about what happens when the structure holding everything together quietly collapses and no one notices. The trust system has been the backbone of the hero world since the series began. It's how heroes are ranked, how they're seen, how society decides who matters, and for a while it worked. At least on the surface, but now that Hero X has entered the picture, the illusion is gone. He doesn't have a company, he doesn't even have a name, and yet he's somehow earned enough trust to reach the top 10 without anyone even knowing what his power is. Then in his first real appearance, he destroys Queen, the number 2 hero, with a literal snap of his fingers. No build up, no monologue, just a blink and you miss it moment that wipes out everything she stood for. And just like that, his arrival renders the system obsolete. If someone that unknown, unaffiliated, and unstoppable can exist outside of the system and still dominate it, what's the point of the rules in the first place? That's the real tragedy of Queen and Bowa's arc. They're playing a game that's already over. They're trapped in a cycle of proving themselves to a public that no longer understands the scoreboard. And worst of all, the people in charge, like Queen's father and the higher-ups at DOS, seem to know this. They're not trying to restore the system, they're testing it, pushing heroes to their limits, seeing what breaks first, trust or fear. Even the world-building moments in these episodes drive that point home. We finally get the layout of the 4 major hero agencies, DOS, Mighty Glory, FOMO, and Tree Man and their leaders, but what should feel like an expansive reveal instead feels claustrophobic. These are corporations and their competing governments. They don't protect heroes, they weaponize them. And with Hero X refusing to play along, the upcoming hero tournament is more a proxy war for control of the future. Queen and Bowa are caught in the middle of that, and the worst part, they're still trying to win by the old rules. Queen wants to lead by example, Bowa wants to fight her way to respect, but Hero X isn't following any of those paths, and he's the one shaping the future. It's fitting that we start to see characters like Little Johnny pop up again in these episodes. Like Cyan before him, Johnny represents a generation that's been quietly watching and waiting, observing the chaos, waiting for their turn. And if there's anything this arc makes clear, it's that the next wave of heroes will be the ones to decide whether the system lives or dies. Queen's arc ends with no clear winner. Bowa steps down, Queen steps back, Hero X steps forward. Everyone walks away changed, but no one walks away satisfied. The rules that shape these heroes are still being followed, but they don't mean anything anymore. The tournament is coming, the agencies are circling, and trust is running out. Whatever comes next won't be decided by rankings or ideals, it'll come down to who adapts and who's left behind. Queen wanted to lead a new era, Bowa wanted to prove she belonged, but Hero X doesn't want anything at all. And somehow that makes him the most powerful figure in the world. I'm looking forward to seeing where 2B Hero X goes from here. This arc shook the foundation once again, and the next one might be the one that brings it all down. Catch you in the next one.